Want to learn about stocks, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and the metaverse? Join richtv.io. Hi, how are you doing today? I'm your host, Rich, here on behalf of Rich TV Live with our very special guest, CEO of FLYN Nickel Mining, John Lee. How are you doing today, John?
Doing fine. Good afternoon, Rich.
Good afternoon. Great to see you again. John, can you tell us how you got involved with FLYN Nickel Mining and why you believe it's one of the premium nickel PGM platinum group metal plays in Canada?
Right, Rich. I have been around the mining industry for 22 years. And before that, I was in Silicon Valley. And I spent first 10 years as an investor like yourself. And then I've always been very fond of nickel. So I am probably one of the most active nickel junior mining CEOs out there in acquisitions and in emergence acquisitions. However, I was around 7 years early in the nickel scene before the advent of electric vehicles. In 2019, the opportunity came about to acquire what I believe is the #1 nickel project in Canada. And the opportunity opened up. I raised $11 million US dollars, and we acquired the project in 2021. FLYN Nickel then IPO'd in 2022 with a bang, as nickel went from $10 to $50 a pound in March of 2022. So that's how I got started. I'm the founder and CEO of FLYN Nickel.
Now, we love nickel here. And like you mentioned, nickel is one of the key elements in electric vehicles. So we love metals and we love electric vehicles here at Rich TV Live. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Thompson nickel belt in Canada and how advanced is the FLYN Nickel Mining project?
Thompson Nickel Belt is the second largest nickel camp in North America. It's actually ahead of Voisey's Bay, just behind Sudbury, with 5 billion pounds of historical production. And Rich, it's very important to distinguish the difference between nickel sulphide versus nickel laterite, which is produced mainly in Philippines and Indonesia. These are notoriously very polluted with coal-fired power plants and require high pressurization of the treatment of the processing, and the tailings are dumped into the ocean with very heavy acids. So the nickel produced in North America are a lot more environmentally friendly, that do not require a high acid in its, or high pressurization or high temperature in its processing method. Minago is the name of the project. It's right in the middle or to the south of the Thompson Nickel Belt. It was discovered in the late 80s, and over time had over $45 million or $50 million spent on it, and over 86,000 meters of drilling. So this is one of the very few, very advanced staged nickel project in Canada.
Wow, sounds fantastic. And with 2023 just getting started, what are the top 3 things investors should keep an eye out for with FLYN Nickel Mining?
Yeah, Rich, we talked about other metals before, but I think for nickel, besides the fact that it's nickel sulphide, also that Minago is in one of the very few peer group that it boasts 1 billion pounds of nickel in the ground, and from the 85,000 meter drilling. The grade is already today, as of today, is exceptional at 0.7% open pit. And Rich, 2005, open pit nickel sulfide grades were about 0.7, so Minago is average. But because of the lack of exploration and discoveries in the nickel sulfide space, today's open pit nickel mine head grades are 0.4. And experts predict by 2029, just 6 years from now, that grade is going to drop to 0.25. So that's going to make Minago, from a very special group to an exceptionally rare group of having an open pit optimized project next to highway, next to infrastructure with access to power and water readily available. So we envision CapEx to be under $1 billion, and this will turn out to be one of the greenest and one of the quickest to market nickel project in Canada. And given Manitoba, where it's at, it's 99% hydropower. This project could potentially be one of the greenest nickel mines in the world. Rich?
Wow, that's impressive. Well, now with 97 drill hole assay results coming for FLYN Nickel, can you let investors know what that means and what they should be looking for in the results?
I know. The story just keeps getting better, even though the company's trading at 1/10 of the IPO valuation and at a fraction of the investment that had gone into the project. When we raised a $7 million as a part of the IPO in early 2022, part of the mandate was to start a round of drilling, which we did. And we thought this is a nickel mine, but we intercepted very good nickel grade, 7.7% to 1% over 50 to 100 meters. But we also discovered platinum and palladium. So I was a little bit surprised. It's like, wait a second, where is this coming from? There was never ever reference in the technical report. And then we dig into the archive of the historical drilling. It turned out that only 20% of the past drill holes had been assayed for PGM. And the grades are very consistent and correlated very closely to the nickel grades. So you're looking at 0.5 grams to 1 gram on average. But if you're looking at a deposit for 50 million tons, you're looking at close to 1 million ounces from just back of the envelope analysis. So it's like, holy cow, if only 20. So what we should do is we should put everything aside and go back. So we spent 2-3 months analyzing, go back to the core shack. It's a very convoluted, it's a very long exercise, 2-3 months of just digging in the core shack and modeling. So we've selected 97 drill holes out of around 250 to reassay for PGM with the objective of coming up with a PGM resource. And if so, I think that's going to add not only more metal value to the ground, enhance the value of the deposit in terms of metals contained in the ground, but more importantly, it's going to enhance the economics of the deposit, because that PGM is really going to add additional layer of cash flow to the future operation of the mine, and not to mention additional appeal, because PGM, as you know, these are auto catalysts, additional angle for those people who are looking for the green for energy metals and looking for the green metals in the energy space. Rich.
Now, John, we love understanding the share structure of a company. How many shares is there for FLYN Nickel Mining? And do you need to raise any money in the near future, or do you feel that you have enough cash on hand to be able to get the goals you want accomplished for 2023?
Right, Rich, I just want to go back for a minute. The investor can expect to receive continuous rolling PGM results. 97 drill holes represent around 7,000 meters of drilling. So that's a lot of assets to come out. So we're not going to be short of news releases. I would expect the first one assets to come out probably in the March timeframe and be on a rolling basis until and then at the conclusion of that drill program, the objective is to come out with a PGM resource next to the nickel. Now, the company IPO to raise, I think it was $8.6 million. We have two strategic investors. One is Blackstone Minerals, and they're from Australia. They're a nickel miner, and the other one is from Germany. So we have very loyal institution support. We got about just under $1 million, but however, we don't have any sort of heavy expenditures outside of the assay drill program. Should the need for us to raise money, I believe like we have a very loyal and institution shareholders that will be able to finance us till for the later part of the year. But right now we are well capitalized for the assay of the PGM of the PGM program.
And how many shares is issued outstanding right now?
Right, we are 62 million shares outstanding, and great share structure, institutions, insiders, management control. I think just over 40% of the project. So this share structure and the shareholder support is as strong as you can get.
And John, is there anything else you would want shareholders to know about FLYN Nickel Mining?
Pick the right metal. If you are into base metal, energy metals, nickel bar none is the best way to go. There's a lot of uncertainties in the market in terms of growth of the economy. So I'm not as bullish on copper as I once was. And even uranium, it's going to cost you billions of dollars to be able to plan. That's going to take about 10 years. And when Elon Musk 2007 or 2018, 17, 18 said mine as much nickel responsibly, give you a big fat contract. And look at Tesla. It is now the #1 luxury selling vehicle, passenger vehicle in the United States. And they've just dropped the pricing of their entire line of vehicles by up to 20% to continue the federal credit. So now they're not only going after, they're now going to mass market their cars and to take the #1 spot for overall passenger cars in North America, period, not just for luxury cars. And guess what will happen if Elon does that? Well, the number of cars they sell is going to increase, so will the amount of nickel. And nickel, there's absolutely no question, I would be saying emphatically that given the number in the last few years, nickel batteries being standardized as the batteries technology for high standard performance batteries. How do we know that? Well, some of the world's largest auto and battery manufacturers are talking to us in order to supply their nickel demand from 2027 to 2032. So that is a very strong indicator of that the technology is here to come. So if you wanna ride the common denominator of all the EV space, nickel is the way to come. And I cannot think of a better complement to your existing precious metals portfolio.
I love it, and I love nickel. I want everyone to put their attention to FLYN Nickel Mining, symbol in Canada, FLYN, symbol in America, FLYNF. I must remind you that Rich TV Live is strictly for information and education purposes. Please do your due diligence, do your research before you invest in anything we talk about or discuss. In saying that, I do believe this is a company that is undervalued, underappreciated, and underexposed. As John Lee mentioned, nickel is one of the key elements in electric vehicles, and there is literally a shortage of nickel needed for all the electric vehicles that this world wants and needs. We know that
green nickel. Yes.
Correct. We know that there's a mandate for 2030 to go fully electric in Canada. We know that China has the same mandate for 2030. I know that countries like Norway want to go fully electric by 2030. So in order for that to happen, nickel is going to be very, very much in need. So thank you so much for joining us today and explaining FLYN Nickel Mining, the CEO, John Lee. Thank you for joining us today, John.
Rich, 60 million shares outstanding at 20 cents. It's exceptional value, and look forward to further update in due course.
Yes, we'd love to invite you back in the future. If you ever have any breaking news or anything you want to discuss, we'd love to have Rich TV Live be the place for you to come and talk to us about FLYN Nickel Mining Corp. Now, thank you guys for watching. If you're not winning, you're probably not watching. We bring you the winners, we bring you the news, CEO interviews, and we bring them to you first. Thank you for watching, everybody. Rich from Rich TV Live with the CEO of FLYN Nickel Mining, John Lee, saying have a nice day. We'll see you soon.